The gates beyond life. Every ancient culture imagined what lay beyond death, but for the Greeks, no vision was as haunting as the underworld. To them, death was not an end, but a passage into a kingdom hidden beneath the earth, a place both terrifying and inevitable. Imagine a landscape carved in shadows, where rivers of despair and fire divided the land into realms of judgment, reward, and punishment. At its gates stood Cerberus, the monstrous hound with 3 snapping jaws, who let no living soul enter freely and no dead soul escape. This was the threshold of eternity, where mortals left behind everything they had been, stripped of titles, wealth, and power. All entered the same as equals, voiceless shadows waiting for judgment. For the living, just uttering the god's name who ruled here brought dread. And yet, the unseen king was not the monster they feared. The story begins at this gate, where death was not chaos, but order, and its ruler, not cruelty, but balance. The rivers of destiny, the underworld was not a single place, but a vast labyrinth of domains shaped by 5 sacred rivers. The Styx river of unbreakable oaths bound even the gods themselves to their promises. Acheron, the river of sorrow, carried the endless grief of mortal lives. Phlegethon, a torrent of fire, scorched the damned in eternal flame. Cocytus, the river of lamentation, echoed with endless cries of regret. And Lethe, the river of forgetfulness, washed away all memories, allowing souls to be reborn in new lives. To the Greeks, these rivers were more than geography. They were destiny. Each one represented forces no mortal could resist. Promises, grief, punishment, regret, and the erasure of self. Crossing them meant transformation. In this watery maze, every soul had a place. Heroes might rise to paradise, cowards might fade into the twilight meadows, and betrayers might be swallowed by Tartarus. But whatever the outcome, Hades ruled it all with unshakable certainty. His was not a reign of chaos, but a system where every river and every soul flowed by design. The kingdom of shadows within the underworld stretched 3 great regions: the meadows of Asphodel, endless gray fields where ordinary souls drifted in silence, haunted by fragments of memory. This was not punishment, but the quiet mediocrity of those who neither shone in life nor fell into disgrace. Then came Elysium, a place of eternal light reserved for heroes, poets, and those favored by the gods, a reward of endless beauty, where the best of humanity continued their glory. And finally, Tartarus, the deepest abyss where traitors, tyrants, and enemies of the gods suffered their eternal punishments. Titans chained in agony, betrayers crushed by their own crimes, souls trapped in endless torment. Together, these realms created balance. Paradise for the great, twilight for the many, punishment for the wicked. And above them all, Hades presided not as torturer, but as judge and keeper of order. His throne was not gilded like Zeus's, nor storm-tossed like Poseidon's, but carved in silence, built on inevitability. His power lay not in storms or seas, but in the truth that all roads, all lives, ended here. The invisible king, Hades, very name, Hades, meant the unseen. Unlike Zeus, who thundered across the skies, or Poseidon, who shattered the seas, Hades' strength lay in silence and inevitability. He did not demand temples overflowing with sacrifice, nor did he parade among mortals, seducing or punishing them for sport. He was not a god of spectacle, but of permanence. The Greeks feared his name, avoiding it in daily speech, calling him instead Pluton, the wealth giver. For beneath the earth, he held not only the dead but also the treasures of the soil, gold, silver, and seeds that sprouted into harvest. He was death, yes, but he was also fertility, renewal, and wealth hidden in darkness. Unlike his brothers, Hades never broke his bonds with arrogance or lust. He was steadfast, stern, and incorruptible. Yet mortals, who feared death more than anything, cast him as a villain. They mistook inevitability for cruelty, permanence for coldness. But to the Greeks who understood balance, Hades was not evil. He was essential. The first descent. So when we stand at the threshold of the underworld, what we find is not fire and torment, but silence, order, and inevitability. Death. In the world of Hades is not chaos, it is balance. Every soul has its place, every river its role, every judgment its weight. And at the center of it all, Hades sits not as a tyrant, but as the most impartial of rulers. The god whom mortals feared most was perhaps the one who interfered least in their lives, never punishing them for his amusement, never deceiving them with false promises. His justice was final, but it was also fair. Yet across time, his story has been twisted into that of a villain, a demon, an enemy of life itself. To understand the truth of Hades, we must journey deeper, to his origins, his battles, and the choices that shaped him into the unseen king. And so, our descent truly begins as we step past Cerberus, cross the rivers of fate, and enter the realm of the god history misunderstood.